Now I want to make a short tutorial about how to show your logo on different kinds of textures. So when you go to the mockups big folder in my drive, there's a subfolder here called Logo Textures, and if you go here you will find a whole bunch of Photoshop and JPEG files. The JPEG files are there so that you can recognize what the Photoshop file actually is, because usually it doesn't give you a preview. And you can use these to present your logo on different kinds of materials. So for example, embroidered, or on fabric, or on, here's another kind of fabric, or leather, or stone, or another kind of leather, all kinds of things. So, and this is something that you should do. You should have a number of alternatives, and I already downloaded a lot of them here. I'm only going to use some of them, and I'm going to use Simai's logo to show you how to do this. And the reason why I'm using Simai's logo is because Simai's logo has very thin lines in certain places. So her crow has very thin lines. The umumi part of her logo type has thin lines. I made several alternatives which I'm going to now apply to these textures. So let's start with this one right here. So this is basically, it's a mock-up. So you just double click on this, close the eye, tile all vertically. I'm just going to take the one with the initials here. We are going to have to scale this down. It's going to be much bigger. So now when I save this, we're going to get it right here. And this actually looks quite good. We can see the thin things very clearly. However, we might be able to improve this a little bit by the crow here. It has a stroke. I already put the stroke here, but the stroke is only 1 pixels. If I make this 2, so in other words I make the crow a little bit thicker, then it gets thicker here as well, as you just saw, and then it looks even better. So now we have a version of the logo type which is on this very fine leather, or could also be a fabric. I'm not exactly sure, it looks more like leather. So then basically what I would do, or what Simai would do, would be to just take a nice crop and then save it as a JPEG and then upload it onto Behance, where you will eventually be putting all of this stuff. So then now I'm just going to go save as Simai D. Oh, I accidentally saved this as Photoshop. Now let's try another one. Now the thing about very fine logo types that have very thin lines, like these ones here, they will work better on things like stone, on concrete, on shiny surfaces, and they won't work that well on things like paper and fabric and leather, because those fine details are obviously going to get lost. But this here is a stone background, and I think it'll work very well here. This is actually a logo that I had made some time ago to show somebody something. So I'm just going to take the logo with the initials. I think is the one that would work best because it would be the biggest, but let's try the full one. Again, we're gonna have to make this smaller. And here I can tell right away that this is going to need a stroke, so I go to Layer Style, Stroke, and 1 pixel. Let's try 1 pixel first. So when I save this, it should appear here. And I think the stroke needs to get bigger. And maybe even bigger. So you have to go back and forth. Yes. Now with this here, with the separator stroke, this is 3 pixels. I'm going to make this 6 because I think this also needs to get thicker. But then these here, the umumi karga, that looks fine. Now let me just zoom out a bit here, because I think we can make this a little bit smaller, because it's coming too close to the edges, so we won't be able to get a nice framing on it. Let me just center it, save it again, and again what we would do is we would take a nice crop like so. Open it up a tad. Now I'm going to save it correctly as a JPEG. Let me just write her name. But now what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to close these and open that. Here it is. Because, hold on, I'm going to put it into Photoshop because I think this needs some adjustments. So I'm going to go into the levels. It's image adjustments, levels, Control L. I would normally do this with Control L, and I think we need to open up the levels. So if you go in from here, you will get more white, and then if you go in from here, you get more dark, and the dark you usually take only a tiny little bit. And also you have to look at this input graph. So it tells you here that you're pretty much okay to come in all the way to here. However, hold on, I'm not happy with this. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just select the center here, and then feather is Shift F6. I'm going to make this 100. Oops, I didn't select it all the way. So Shift F6, 100. Just hide the selection. And now let's go into the levels, because I want the edges to stay darker. And here I can just come into like about 2. Now I can deselect it and just come in here a bit, like so. Again, Shift F6, again 100. We need a big feather so that we have very smooth lightening. And I'm going to, this time I'm going to go into the curves, which is image adjustment curves right here, Control M, and I'm going to open this up a bit like so, and then I'm just going to save it. So when I opened it, it was like this, and now it has become like this. It's much more visible. It's a nice big size. So this is the 100%. Now I save it, and that's basically the other one done. Now I'm going to do one more to show you how color works with these things, because on this one here, which is also kind of like a very fine leathery kind of thing, we have white and we have black. So let me open this, and again let's do the tiling. Now I'm going to take this one here, which is the, let me just make sure that I'm in the right place here. Oops. So I'm just going to move this over here, And I can actually close this because this is the last one that I'm going to be doing. Now I'm going to close all of this, obviously, and we need to scale this down. Let me just make it as big as I can get it. Now if I were to save this, it would end up looking like this, so I would be missing all of the white parts. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to make the ellipse white, and then obviously make the crow black. And now let's save it, and now we have the nice white background. Now we can also do some more. We can make the text white, and let's save it now. And now we have the white text on the black background, and we could even make this white. And then this would end up looking like this, but we could also have a combination. We could have the text black and then this part white or whatever. It's up to you. Now again, to repeat, with very thin, fine logo types, it's usually a better idea to stick to textures that are smooth, that are shiny, to stay away from all the leathery stuff and coarse paper textures and things like that. They will work better on smooth things, but you can of course try it, like this embroidery one here that I have. I'm pretty sure that this would work quite nicely as well. In fact, as a matter of fact, let's just, for the hell of it, let's just do it. Let's see. So let me just take this and move it here. Yeah, so you get this nice, let's see, this is 100% I think. Yep. Now you could obviously maybe also add some color, or maybe make some of these black and some of them white. So you can try different ones as well. And also you can change the color here. So Simai could kind of look for her blue, that dark blue that she has, and replicate it here somehow. I think this is kind of close to what she had. So, and speaking of backgrounds, actually, let me just do one more thing, which is important, because what I forgot to mention is that you can change the backgrounds on a lot of these. So for example, there's this one here, which is actually a very nice one. And let me just go back and open Simai's logo alternatives. So I'm going to take the one with the initials for this one. Let me just, oh, it's almost the right size. That's good. Now when I save this, this actually comes out very nice, except I don't think this is a very good background. I would do this background differently. I would put another background on here, and I have a very nice background underneath this one. So what I'm just going to do is I'm actually going to just take this one here and drag it onto here. But you can obviously find millions of very nice backgrounds on the internet. But if you change the background on this, then it starts to look much better, as you will hopefully agree with me. I would probably reduce the white a little bit. I don't want this part to pop out like that. And then this would be another alternative as well. So keep in mind that you can also change backgrounds on some of them, not all of them, but on some of them you can. And have fun playing around, people.